welcome to this episode of The Gunman. In this video, I'll just be taking you through a quick look at my XF Falcon before I started paintwork on it. We'll take you through some dismantling as well. So, I didn't obviously record myself doing the whole dismantling on this car. This video is mainly just to show you what it looked like before, and I will still cover how we take some parts off and that. So it was in pretty good nick already. It was one of the cleanest XF, one of the most clean XFs you did see getting around. Like, there's a couple of little bits of rust inside here and there, but for a car of its age, it's actually in quite good nick. So there's a little bit of surface rust inside these rear doors. There's some pitted rust and that down the bottom. Just up here, all this is just a bit of surface rust. Sand it back, bit of rust converter on it, and just paint straight over it. So considering the car's 30 years old next year, it's held up quite well. So it's down the bottoms of these doors is pretty far gone, but we were able to bring them back to life because I didn't want to go and spend hundreds of dollars on new panels when I can fix them myself. So I did this job on the cheap, pretty much. I think it would have cost me about $3,000 all up, maybe a touch more. So obviously that's not including labour, so I did it all myself. So I ended up taking the bonnet off and did inside all the engine bay and that too. So it took me 2 weeks to do this job. So this is me taking the door trims off. So you just start off with a couple of screwdrivers. You pop off those little caps, and then you come up with your Phillips head screwdriver, and you take the screws out, pull that cap out. All cars are pretty much going to be different, but I'd say the older the car, the easier they are. The only real issues you're going to come across is some seized up bolts, possibly, but I've had this car apart that many times. I pretty much know where every nut and bolt is, and they're pretty much freed up. So yeah, once we take this off, we've got some electrical connectors inside there, because that console panel there that controls all the windows up and down. So it's pretty basic. These old cars, pretty much all you need is a socket set, a spanner set, and a few screwdrivers, and you can pretty much dismantle the whole car and reassemble it. Ratchet ring spanners would come in handy, especially on this car, because the door bolts end up... you can use a ring spanner, but if you use a ratchet ring spanner, it's going to make it so much easier. They're really quite long bolts, and you can't... it's hard to get the spanner inside there, so... It's just 4 bolts on there, so I had to get a mate to help me pull the doors off, obviously, because you need someone to hold the back of it while you're undoing the bolts. So we ended up getting this car stripped out. I worked on it for an hour and a half, and my mate came and helped me, and he worked on it for an hour, and we had pretty much the whole thing gutted. So these old cars really are quite easy to work on. If you're working on like a European car or a newer car, it would probably take a little bit longer. So once we've got that door trim off, we'll have a look at this wiring. To pull the door off, we're going to have to pull all that wiring out. There's a wire that goes up to that mirror, so we'll have to disconnect that. There's also a wire that comes up to the aftermarket central locking that I've put in, and there's also another one that goes into the window regulator, the power window regulator inside there. So you pull them all out, disconnect the wires, and then have to pull the whole wiring loom right through the door, and then we can grab our ratchet ring spanner and pull the door off itself. Obviously repeat this on every single door. It's pretty straightforward, really. Yeah, if you know how to use a few tools and you've got a bit of a brain, you can get in there and just have a look at stuff and figure it out pretty easy. Yeah, 4 bolts for each panel, and yeah, same with the bonnet, same with the hood, same with the trunk or the boot lid. So just there's those bolts in there, and so now I've got those panels off. Next up, I decided to kick the rear windscreen out. You can actually see my mate, Irish mate, he's giving me a hand, and he's laughing. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, because he's used to the newer cars where they use urethane, Sikaflex, high bond. He's laughing at, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm lying on the back seat. I've just taken my boots off there, and I'm just kicking it out. So it is sealed in there just with some windscreen sealer. It's not a real high stick or a high bond. It's more just to stop the water from coming through. So it has bitten, so we have to just slightly break that seal. That's what I'm doing here. So we need to just break that seal first off, and then I'll jump back in and kick it out. So there was a couple of other trims here and there that we had to take off around here, and I ended up, after taking the rear bumper bar and the tail lights out and all that, so I was able to paint that whole back panel area properly. But it's all pretty straightforward. You get your head in there and you can have a look at where the bolts are and that, and it's pretty straightforward. So we're just trying to get these scrapers in here at the moment and just running around to break that seal. That's what we're doing. Here I've jumped back in and just push even pressure. You don't want to put too much in one spot because you can end up cracking them. And yeah, you can see it's starting to come out now, starting to lift up. So it's pretty much a two-man job. One is in the back kicking it out and the other one helping grab it, so make sure it doesn't end up hitting those boot hinges. And on the way back in, when you go to put it back in, all you need to just get some just windscreen sealant is what it's called, and you just run a bead of that around the edge of it, and then you get a rope, just a normal old rope, and you put that around the inside of the rubber, and then you slightly put it back into place, and then you actually get one of these on the outside to push the rubber in, and then when you pull the rubber from the inside, it'll actually pull the lip in back into that channel. So you can see it came out pretty easy. I've had this out a few times. It's not a hard job, but it's the kind of thing that doing stuff like that makes for a much better job rather than just this is the car at the end. As you can see, it came out real nice. So this is the first of many videos on this XF and transforming it into a race car. So thanks again for watching. Click these links if you haven't already seen them, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.